Everybody, Cashflow Kris here, taking on.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Cashflow Kris here at
What's up, everybody? Cashflow Kris with Investors Edge Real Estate Group here. All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to day 4 of Traction. We are moving on to chapters 5 and 6, which is the data component and the issues component. Last week we talked about the people aspect. And so far we've gone over vision, people, and data. And so now today we're going to be moving forward on to, first of all, today's the data component. Let me make sure we don't have anybody missing. Okay. So hopefully everybody was able to read chapters 5 and 6. Let me screen share so we can get started. Thanks to Maya for making a great slideshow for us.
Yay.
This should be fairly, I don't know if we even hit an hour today. Chapter 5, the data component. Picture a small plane flying over the Atlantic Ocean. Halfway across, the captain announces, "I've got good news and I got bad news. The bad news is the gauges aren't working. We are hopelessly lost. I have no idea how fast we're going or in what direction, and I don't know how much fuel we have left. But the good news is we're making great time." Right? Does that sound familiar at all? This is how most entrepreneurs run their organizations. This chapter is designed to help you formulate and manage your data to let you take the pulse of your business consistently and accurately, so you can take effective action. You will gain the power of being able to manage your business through a chosen handful of numbers. And that is the definite goal of today. So the scorecard. Scorecard is the first part of the data component. Anything that measured and watched is improved. I fully agree with that one. Personally, I have a journal, and anytime things are going well, I'm tracking, I'm on there every single day, and things are going well. It's when things are not going good that I get away from it. I get away from the numbers because sometimes you don't want to see those. You don't want to see the numbers. So definitely tracking is very important. The concept of managing through a scorecard has been around for a long time. It's been expressed through many different terms. It's a handful of numbers that can tell you how your business is doing. So dashboard, flash report, scoreboard metrics, measurables, key performance indicators, KPIs, that's the sexy term recently, smart numbers, and so on. Whatever you call it, it's a handful of numbers that can tell you how your business is doing. The unfortunate reality is most organizations don't have a scorecard. They lack activity-based numbers to review on a regular basis. They might rely on a P&L to tell them to score, but by then it's too late. And that's one of the main parts of this, is we want to have lead measures, not lag measures. And so what that means is, what are the things that you can do in your business that are actually going to make a difference, not what are the results. If we wanted to break it down into like baseball terms, lead measures are, how many swings on strikes do we have, or how many times do we put the bat on the ball, and then you can kind of measure it by that. The lagging measure is the scoreboard. Make sense? In order to solve a problem, you must know the source of the number in the scorecard. Therefore, you can go directly to the root cause and create better accountability and clarity with your people. So let's dig into the scorecard a little bit. Let's see. Let's see what the next slide is. There we go. All right, so step 1 is to sit with your leadership team and make a list of all the numbers that you want to track. Imagine you're on a desert island somewhere. None of you can talk to anyone, access email, or talk on the phone. All you have is a piece of paper with a handful of numbers on it. These numbers must allow you to have an absolute pulse on your business. What are the numbers that must be on that piece of paper? So let's talk about that real quick. What are some numbers that need to be on your paper? If you were looking at your business, what are some numbers that you would want to see to know how you're doing? Oh, we got a bunch of people here. Let me promote them real quick. JT, German, Kelly's back. What's up, everybody? I was in share mode. I didn't see you guys. So right off the bat, Jordan, why don't you start? What are some numbers that RPI does? What are some numbers that help us know how our business is doing?
Since we mostly manage rentals, that would be one would be occupancy.
Right, occupancy. So that's a rolling number that every single week we want to know that, right?
Yep.
What are some other numbers? We always want to, so some of our key metrics are number of leads.
Yeah, guest cards, leads.
Right. So how many leads did we get? How many people scheduled an appointment? How many people showed up to the appointment? And then how many applications we had? How many approved applications we had? And
how
then
many move-ins? And
then how many move-ins, right? So so we could say, so that just breaks it down so much, and that allows us to go back and say where's the problem. A few weeks ago, we found out that we weren't having any leads. You know, we went from 25 calls to like 8, and from 7 people interested to 0. And so where are we at? So we went back and we found out that a lot of our marketing wasn't working, or it was going to the wrong place. And then tracking the numbers again is very vital. We were tracking the approved applications, but we were putting, he was supposed to put 1 for each time, right? So last week we had 3 people who were approved. And now this week, a couple of those people hadn't moved in yet, so they were still approved. So while we had 1 new one and 2 that rolled over. So we had 3 for this week. And so now we're looking and we're like, why do we have 9 approved applications and 1 move-in? And that was why, because our numbers weren't right. So we didn't have 9 approved applications. We had 4 approved applications. So numbers are completely vital. Let's see, JT, Stacy, anybody want to volunteer on what are some numbers in your business? If you had no contact with your team, what numbers would you want to see to know how your business is doing?
Kris.
Go ahead.
How many calls? Out of those calls, how many did you actually talk to? Out of those people that you actually talked to, how many connections you made? Well, now it wouldn't be go get coffee. It would be
right,
just talking on the phone.
That's a great one. So you're a wholesaler, I take it, real estate investor, right?
Right.
Okay. So that's key for real estate investors. How many deals you did that's a lag measure. You want to know how many phone calls did I make? How many appointments did I set? Exactly. That's great.
Right.
What are some other ones for some wholesalers? We got a lot of real estate people on here. So phone calls, that's a key number. Or you can be tracking, how many text blasts did I send out? How many reverse voicemails did we send out?
Right. Also, how many Craigslist ads did you do, and which ads did you get response from? So you know which ones are good, which ones are not so good.
That's terrific. We also track our leads. Where did they come from? And we found out that Craigslist was a big 0. We didn't get any leads from Craigslist that was like an 8-week period. So we cut it out of our marketing. We just don't do it anymore.
Well, I started doing it again because I've been moving and selling my house for the last 4 weeks. I mentioned that on another call. So I'm finally all settled, and I'm like, okay, I got to start getting back into really pursuing and making connections. So I made a few, not as many as you think, but if I can pick up another 2 or 3,
Right.
I'll be happy. I guess it all depends on what area you're in too.
For sure, definitely. Everybody's, and even though we could be in the same business, we could be doing it differently and have different numbers. JT says lead gen contacts, closed contracts, follow-ups, appointments equals his real estate numbers. Yeah, Jordan put it out there. We have our occupancy, new leads, scheduled showings, rental applications. Evictions are something that we always need to be tracking because that's going to directly tie into our occupancy rate. Work orders, again, that's separate, but it's also relatively important. You know,
Vital, yeah.
how often, how long does a work order stay open, which is going to lead to tenant happiness. Right, the approval ratings of a, you know, and if you're giving having your tenants as they move out, you know, if you're having them do a survey and you're getting bad ratings, you know, that could be one of the reasons why. Anybody else in the real estate sales side? What are some numbers that you need to track to be aware of your business?
You also have your mailers too, Kris.
What's that?
Your mailers, you know, your yellow letters that you send out.
All your marketing numbers are huge, right?
Yep, or your postcards, whichever one you do.
Very good. All right. So step 2 on the left-hand column, and here, this is what we're looking at right here. So you have your list. So on the left-hand column, list who is accountable for each of these numbers. Only one person is ultimately accountable for each, and it's usually the person heading up that major function. This is the person who must deliver the weekly number to the organization, not the person who simply enters the number. Step 3, decide and fill in what the expected goal for the week is in each category. Now that your VTO and vision are clear, the goal numbers on your scorecard should be tied directly to your 1-year plan. So for example, for us, we could have a goal of, I don't know, man. It gets so I was gonna say we could have a goal of what's our top line goal, Jordan? Number of contacts. But a better one might be how many ads did we post, you know, or how many phone calls came in. Because that is a lead, but it's kind of a lag measure as well. So they can get a little bit tricky there. Step 4, put next week date into the first date column in preparing for filling your scorecard next week. Step 5, decide who is accountable for collecting the numbers and fill in the scorecard every week for the leadership to review. Decide how that person will receive the numbers from each member. How do we do this, Jordan? Who's in charge of collecting the numbers?
That would be me.
And how do you do that? So you don't have the numbers though. Other people have the numbers, right?
Yeah, I just like gather everything up from the rest of the team and then present it in one report.
And who gets yelled at if you don't have the numbers? Is it them or is it you?
That would be me.
That's right. Because it's the accountability chart. You know, you don't want, so. Number 6, use it. You must review the scorecard every week to ensure you're on track. The real magic of using a scorecard is not limited to managing it on a weekly basis. You will soon see in 13 weeks at a glance, which enables you to see patterns and trends. From there, the numbers roll, meaning that the first week will drop off the scorecard as the 14th week is added. Make sure you keep the numbers that drop off for future reference and historical data. So again, guys, we're going to be extremely flexible with our businesses. We're going to be able to pivot. So our Craigslist example earlier, we watched this, you know, so it's a 13-week process. Track. We decided we're not getting anything and it's costing us X amount to hire somebody to post. It's out. So you may look at your postcards. Our postcards working right now. Our letters working. Is cold calling working, you know? And I think with real estate, it's very vital to have multiple streams of marketing going out there. Just because Craigslist doesn't work right now doesn't mean it won't be working better in 6 months. Same with letters. Letters were dead a couple years ago. right? Because you get the non-owner occupied, you know, somebody who lives in California owns in Arizona. Like that dude literally got 800 letters. So everybody stopped doing it. So now maybe it's a better time to go back. Or, you know, same with everything else. Reverse voicemails, cold calling. You may have found out, hey, during the quarantine, cold calling was red hot. Or you might find out, yeah, we got a ton of calls and we got a lot of FUs. FUs quadrupled during the quarantine, you know? Like, a good thing to track. All right, 3 scorecard rules of thumb. The numbers in the scorecard should be weekly activity-based numbers, not the type of high-level numbers you see in a profit and loss. Remember, the scorecard is not a P&L. It's based on numbers showing activity and telling you whether you're on track for a strong P&L. In other words, your scorecard predicts your P&L. What are activity-based numbers? To help clarify, let's look at a couple examples. Let's talk about a couple examples. Forget going through this. Let's do real estate agent. Let's go with that generic thing. What are some KPIs? Throw them out there. Either type them in or throw them out there. What are some KPIs? For me, it could be number of open houses held. That could be a KPI. What's that? What's that? Anything else? So I used to, Kelly, what do you got?
So I have I use 2 little systems that one is like that we track daily, and another one is we track as like a whole where our revenue is coming from. But it would be like hours worked, dials made today, contacts actually made, nurtures, so like people that are actually interested in discussing further, listing appointments set, listing appointments actually held, listing contract signed, buyer appointment set, buyer appointment held, then actual written offers, and then how many showings, open houses held, now they're going to be virtual, and then where the source came from. And then now we're kind of pivoting in a way of becoming more virtual. So now it's like, did we send a video email? Did we send a bomb email? Did we do a social post? Did we do a social live or a social video? Did we do a social share? Did we share like more information? Or even share like a different blog post from a different source? Like when I share your information, I track that too. And then Zoom calls, and if I did any note cards, and then I track all of them, because then I'll ask like, how did you hear from me? Or, you know, where did you get that info? And it's like, oh, from your Facebook post, or from your, you sent me something in the mail. So we track all of that daily. And then how many do we do to see the
That's beautiful. That sums it up right there, basically. Go back to the beginning. What was the first few things you said? Because I had a point on one of those.
Sure. The first ones which are like the basic ones are.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I know what I was going to say. So I like that you said, how many people did you actually talk to? Yeah. Especially when you talk to cold callers. Oh, I made 5,000 calls last month. Well, okay, it rang 5,000 times. How many people did you actually talk to? So yeah, breaking those down. And then those are going to help you know your numbers. Well, it took me 1,000 dials. So 300 people picked up. I had 150 conversations, which led to this, which led to one deal. So now you know, and this even helps. I know a lot of us are solopreneurs, right? But tracking these numbers are key, because when you bring somebody else on, you can just move those numbers over to them. Now, we can't always expect them to be as good as us, but if you know, hey, for every 1,000 dials, I'm going to get at least 2 contracts. If they're doing 5,000 and they don't have any contracts, now you know you have issues. And you know where to go to it, you know. So that was great, Kelly. I appreciate that. German, Eric, anybody else who's a real estate agent who has other KPIs, key performance indicators that they like to work on? Hey, Bissy, what is your...
she summed everything up awesome.
But what is your line of business? Go ahead and unmute yourself.
I'm a real estate. I know. I'm a real estate agent as well as an investor as well.
Okay, great, man. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
No problem.
All right, Eric, what were you saying?
what's his name? Kelly. Kelly summed everything up perfectly for a real estate agent. I'm like, holy cow. Yep. This. Boom, right on. Kudos to her.
Don't recreate the wheel. If you're a real estate agent and you don't know, what should I do? What should I be doing? Take Kelly's and use that, because anybody who uses that, that knowledge is out there. If you read Millionaire Real Estate Investor or a dozen other real estate agent books, this info's out there. People do it. People know how to do it. All the info's there. It's implementing. It's doing those. It's the compound effect. It's accomplishing these goals, having something to actually track. So that's great. Kelly says you can modify to fit your niche or referral marketing. I love it. And it's little things, especially times like now, guys. How many of you sent out an email this week or last week saying, I know things are scary, what's going on? If you have any real estate related questions, reach out to me. How can I help? A lot of people are going to want to sell right now. A lot of people, maybe some of your buyers are on the fence. Are you being proactive? Are you going out and saying, hey, frequently asked questions by buyers right now? Some people might just go ghost on you because they're scared and they don't know what's going on, so definitely it's those things that are consistent, so how many times are you contacting your sphere? Right? How are you contacting them? So yeah, Kelly, very good. Real estate investors. What are some KPIs for real estate investors? JT went over some earlier. Lead gen. So lead gen is going to be, how many people did we call? How many appointments did we make? How many offers did we make? A lot of times that can be something. You may be, that may be the cog in your wheel. Maybe you're doing everything, you're getting the lead, you're going out there, you're talking, you're building rapport, but for some reason, you're not putting offers out. And as crazy as that sounds, I know people this is their issue. German, you got something to say?
Oh, no, just watching my kids.
Okay, cool.
I got you, Chris. Example of things that we track, because we not only phone call and notes and all that stuff, but we also actually do a lot of direct buying by having our door knockers go into the door. And the last week they've just been dropping notes, and we've gotten like a double return on our investment on dropping notes, because it's very cheap, just gas money pretty much. We do all the advertising for that, and being able to track those, we're able to follow up with them and get some of our better deals. And on my side, doing dispositions, reselling all these properties that we're direct to, it's been a lot easier, because the last 3 days, all I've been doing is going through my past network and other dispo guys to find out what our buy and hold guys want, what our long-term investors or short-term fund investors under 3 years want. Finding that out laid the line for everything that we're going to do in the next month.
I love it, man. That's good stuff. Right now is a great time to be setting these habits, setting these KPIs. For example, have you called your buyers list? Are they still buying? Have you called your hard money lenders? What if you're calling your buyers and they're like, you know what, man, I am, but I don't know if I can even find money. I don't know this. What's happening here? You want to be that source. You want to be that person. So creating a habit of calling your people once a week or once every 2 weeks, that habit can start today and then carry it forward. And it's creating those habits in your business is huge. So anybody else got anything on that? If not, no big deal. We'll move forward. The scorecard is much more of a proactive tool, helping you anticipate problems before they actually happen. However, you still need to look at either monthly or quarterly financial statements and monitor a budget on a monthly or quarterly basis. Number 3, when managing a scorecard, many clients find it value in red flagging categories that are off track. Red flagging occurs when one of your numbers does not hit or exceed the goal for the week. All right. So I want everybody to have their scorecard next week. Right? There's no reason not to. It's just like this. If you're a one-man band, it makes it really easy to know who's going to do it. It's going to be you. Your name is going to be the who. And you don't need a ton. 5 to 7 is typically not a bad number. So I want some examples when we meet up next time. Next, we're moving on to measurables. Oops. I do that all the time. All right, measurables. Everyone has a number. There are 8 distinct advantages to everyone having a number. Number 1, the numbers cut through murky subjective communication between manager and direct reports. They become a communication tool between the manager and direct reports, creating a basis of comparison, unemotional dialogue, and results. Number 2, numbers create accountability. When you set a number, everyone knows what that expectation is. For example, you bring on a cold caller. I expect you to make X amount of calls a day or an hour or, whatever. I expect these. For example, in an accounting department, the people's expectations are collections. That is unclear. However, if they are supposed to keep accounts receivables days below 40, balance below 100,000, or aged receivables less than 50,000, that's a clear expectation. The people know exactly what their target is. Number 3, accountable people appreciate numbers. Wrong people in the wrong seats usually resist measurables. Right people in the right seats love clarity. Knowing the numbers they need to hit, they enjoy being a part of a culture where they are held accountable. It creates, I don't know what that is, and a spirit, a core, with everyone pitching in to make the company a success because right people want to win. I got to tell you, I'm really upset because that's French, and I could have learned it this summer. We had a trip to Paris planned, canceled. Oh, all right, sorry. Number 4, numbers create clarity and commitment. When an employee is clear on his or her number and agrees that he or she can achieve it, that you have commitment. There is no gray area. The great example is the number Nordstrom uses with salespeople per hour. The number shows up on their paychecks and perks are tied to it. That's another great one, guys. If you want to be able to bonus people, what better to know if and when you can bonus them than based on numbers, and that gives them something to shoot for. Numbers create competition. Charles Schwab was known to create competition by creating a target number known to all teams. Sure, they might experience some discomfort and a little stress, but there's nothing wrong with a little pressure. Did you guys read the little story about the little parable in this? You guys know what I'm talking about? About the two levels that were going against each other. The 2 shifts. I'm just going to read it real quick. Oh, where did it go? All right, here we go. This is a good one. All right, Charles Schwab ran Bethlehem Steel Company in the early 1900s, and he had a mill manager whose people weren't producing their work quota. One day, Schwab asked him, how is it the manager is capable of you can't make the mill turn out as it should? The mill manager didn't have an answer. He had tried everything. The conversation took place at the end of the day, just before the night shift came on. Schwab asked the manager for a piece of chalk and asked the nearest man how many heats, which means their batches of refined steel, his shift made, how many batches they made that day. The man said 6. Without another word, Schwab chalked a big figure on figure 6 on the floor and walked away. When the night shift came in, they saw the 6 and asked what it meant. The day people explained that Charles Schwab, the big boss, had asked how many they did, and he chalked the number on the floor. The next morning, Schwab walked through the mill again, and he found the night shift had rubbed out 6 and replaced it with a big 7. When the day shift reported to work that morning, they too saw the 7 chalked up on the floor and decided that they would show the night shift a thing or two. The crew pitched in with enthusiasm, and when they quit that night, they left behind with an enormous 10. It wasn't soon before this mill, which had been lagging way behind in production, was turning out more than any other plant. I love that story. Nothing like a little competition to get the juices flowing, right? I work at the batch offices, and that's one of the things that I really love that they do. Because they implement EOS into their business, and if you go out into the lobby, or not the lobby, but the area where everybody works, they have everybody's name and their number and all their numbers, their production numbers. I love it, and they're ranked. They're ranked, so it makes people work harder. I saw Malcolm in the Middle yesterday as I was in quarantine, and they all had A's. They all had 99%, but the teacher wanted to instill competition, so he numbered everybody 1 to 14. And needless to say, it made them work a little bit harder. People don't like being numbered low. Numbers create competition. We went over that. Numbers produce results. Similar to the way Rudolph Giuliani helped turn around a city, you can create terrific results. If the customer service department's expectation is 0 unresolved customer issues, by hitting this number, you will achieve the ultimate result of customer retention and satisfaction. Or if your customer service people are accountable for ancillary sales, and they know $1,000 in daily ancillary sales will reach the total goal, you'll typically hit it, or at least do better if you don't provide this number. What gets watched improves. Number 7, numbers create teamwork. When a team composed of the right people in the right seats agree to the number they hit, they ask themselves, can we hit it? This is good. We've done this with our crews before, asking them, how long do you think this will take? And then, giving them bonuses if they can realistically hit those numbers, get things done sooner. You solve problems faster. With an activity-based number is off track, you can attack it and solve the problem proactively, unlike with an end result number. Again, lead, not lag. All right, so we're done with that. So let's move on to the issues component. This shouldn't take a lot of time. Does anybody have anything to note on the data component? Scorecard measurables. Do you guys get a good idea of what you need to do? Yeah, I'm gonna take that as a yeah. All right, the better you are at solving problems, the more successful you will become. So we talked about the VTO, right? There's page 1 of your VTO. Here, let me stop share. There's page 1 of your VTO. This is where we have our core values, focus, our targets, and this is where we're breaking down our goals. Page 2 of the VTO is your 1-year plan, your quarterly rocks, and then this is where you're going to be going over your issues list, right? So every single week, you're going to have your meeting. You're going to be going, we'll go over the meeting later in this book, but you're going to be going over your rocks. What are your people's rocks? Their rocks are broken down into their KPIs. And then you're going to be coming up with issues throughout the meeting. As an issue comes up, if it's a major issue, it goes onto the issue list. Actually, I guess all issues go onto the issue list regardless of how big they are. And then it's tackled at the end of the meeting. So the 4th essential component of gaining traction is having the discipline to face and solve your organizational issues as they arise. It's human nature to put off making a hard decision. Guilty. I always push shit off. It's horrible. If given the opinion, most people would prefer not to address an issue and hope that it goes away on its own. The reluctance to act can be a drag on growth and extremely frustrating to watch. Learn the next 2 EOS tools to wield against obstacles holding your company back. Number 1 is creating an issues list. So the issues list is a vital step in creating a workplace where people feel comfortable calling out the issues that stand in the way of your vision. With an open and honest organization, the issues list becomes a tool that creates a discipline to keep all of your issues out in the open and organized in one place. There should be 3 types of issues list in your organization. Number 1, the issues list in your VTO. These are your company issues that can be shelved beyond 90 days. These issues are tackled in future quarterly meetings. The list will include issues as diverse as new product ideas, key employee issues, technology needs, office relocation, capital needs for the need for HR policies. They'll go there if this is not the quarter to solve them because you have bigger fish to fry. Okay, does that make sense? So it's something major in your company, but it's not something that is vital right now. You know, maybe right now we're focused on just keeping money coming in, you know, so we're not too worried about these other bigger issues. Bigger, yet less important. Number 2, the weekly leadership team issues list. Okay, so the time frame on these is much shorter. These are all of the relevant issues for the week and quarter that must be tackled at the highest level. These issues will be resolved in your weekly leadership team meetings. You should not be solving departmental issues. That makes sense? Leadership issues include things as diverse as company rocks being off track, bad numbers on the scorecard, key employee issues, major client difficulties, and process and system related problems. So this is where you're definitely going to be going over your rocks. What are your quarterly rocks? What are your weekly goals? And your scorecards. You're going to be going over your scorecards, and everybody's going to be telling what they did. So it's all going to be up and out in the open. Number 3, departmental. So leadership team, and now each leadership member is going to be going down in their own department. They're going to be solving issues there. The issues are on a more local level. These include all the relevant departmental issues for the week that must be tackled during the weekly departmental meetings. The sales team is in charge of hitting call numbers, these are examples, hitting call numbers, presentations, closing business, and marketing and presentation materials on their list. While the operations team has fulfilling orders, purchasing, customer complaints, and low production numbers on theirs. So does that make sense to everybody? You're going to have your big issues, you're going to have your weekly issues, and then you're going to have your little tiny department issues. So for example, for us, marketing could be, hey, these aren't going through, you know, maybe a departmental issue will be our call rails not set up correctly. You know, we have calls coming from this apartment, but it's tied to this. So that's like a small issue. That's not something that you would bring up in the meeting. Maybe in your weekly meeting, it's going to be our scorecards are way off. You know, our leads are way off. You know, our KPIs, we want 10 a week and we have 2. So those are where we're going to be going over those issues. And then higher level is, you know, like systems oriented and stuff like that, which are things you definitely want to tackle, but you want to do it at the appropriate time. Does anybody have any comments or questions on that part of it? We all good? All right. So how do we solve issues? It's an IDS. Most teams suffer from different challenges when solving issues. The common ones include fear of conflict, lack of focus, lack of discipline, lack of commitment, and personal ego. Here's a simple tool that will allow you to resolve your issues. Identify, discuss, and solve. Step 1, identify. Clearly identify the real issue because the stated problem is rarely the real one. Most of the time, the stated problem is the symptom of the real issues. So you must find the root of the matter. By batting the issue back and forth, you will reach the true cause. Number 2, discuss. And this is why it's really good to have open meetings, guys, especially if you have layered, you know, if people think they can't bring things up about their boss or about the person above them, this is the perfect time to get it out in the open, so they can have open, honest communication. Step 2, discuss. Most people spend the majority of their time in this step. They rarely identify the real problem before they start discussing, and thus they rarely resolve anything. They just discuss everything ad nauseum, and they actually think they're being productive. In its simplest form, the discussion step is everyone's opportunity to say everything they have to say about the issue. You get everything on the table in an open environment where nothing is sacred. Upon the completion of the discussion step, all of your options, data, ideas, solutions, and concerns regarding the issue at hand may be out in the open. This enables you to move forward to step 3, making the issue go away forever. Number 3, solve. The solve step is a conclusion or a solution that usually becomes an action item for someone to do, right? Makes sense. Here's the problem, here's the solution, and here's who's going to do it. Solving issues takes time. By solving issues now, you'll save time exponentially across departments by eliminating all future systematic issues. 3 types of resolutions will emerge from an issue solving session. Number 1, when the issue is resolved and requires action. When the issue is merely awareness and the conclusion is that everyone concurs with that awareness. When the issue needs more research or facts. In this case, someone is assigned an action item to do the research and bring it to a subsequent meeting. All right. Everybody good with that?
Yes, sir.
And then to finish up the chapter, we have the 10 commandments of solving issues. Number 1, thou shalt not rule by consensus. Here, let me go through my notes on that one. Not everyone will be pleased in all situations, but as long as they have been heard and if the team is healthy, they can usually live with and support the decision. From there, you must present a united front moving forward. So basically, just because people have issues, you have one person who makes the decision. Number 2, thou shalt not be a weenie. The solution will always be simple. It's not always easy to implement. You must have a strong will, have firm resolve, and be willing to make the tough decisions. Number 3, be decisive.
Hey, Kris.
Yeah.
Hey, what happens if you have a partnership, man?
That's a great question. So on a partnership, on the accountability chart, this is where that's going to come from. You know, who is going to make the ultimate decision? And it may be departmentalized, you know, on these issues, on money issues, the visionary is going to have the final say. So really, yeah, breaking down your accountability chart so you know who's in charge of what, I would say.
Okay.
Do you have a partnership?
Yeah, I have a partnership on the investor side.
Okay.
Me and another guy. Like I do more acquisitions. He does more dispo. But just trying to get a balance with him. You know what I mean? Because when I get a contract, I take it to the title company, and then from there I put down the earnest money, and then, you know, I guess I haven't really agreed with him on this, but I'm like, hey, once it gets to title, you need to take that thing over and run with it. You know what I mean? On the dispo side, because okay, you know, for me, I've did whatever I'm supposed to do, right, in terms of like getting a contract. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's great, man. That's a good thing. So, yeah. So you have, so you took it all the way up to title. Yeah. Once it goes to title, then you're going to say, hey, this needs to be handed over, and then you're going to have all of your steps and your to-dos within that. Personally, I think this is a great place to bring in your first hire, to bring in a virtual assistant as your transaction manager. For investors and for agents, transaction manager is a great first hire because it's very easy to give them the steps necessary, and it's busy work for the most part.
Okay.
Just my
that makes sense.
Yeah, but this is great because now you're going to have open communication with your partner. So now you guys can run over, okay, I'm in charge of this. I'm in charge of acquisitions, and you're in charge of dispositions. is transaction management and acquisitions, or is it a disposition, right? So coming up
Right.
and then agreeing on it and then just moving forward.
Okay, that makes sense.
Good
Okay,
question. And
thank you for that.
yeah, go back to the previous chapters because they're very, very clear on that. You got to have, if you have two people, one's going to be a visionary and one's going to be an integrator. You got to figure it out. And from what we learned last week, everybody on our call was the visionary.
Yeah.
It was very eye-opening. There was not one, because we all said, what do you think you are? And we all think we're visionaries, and there was not one implementer on the call. So if you're here, that tells me you have the vision, you want to turn your business into this, but he may be the one who's actually the doer for the most part.
Right. Yeah. Well, he has a full-time, so the thing about it is he has a full-time job. So a lot of things that happen are happening on my end. And on his end, well, right now we're all, in quarantine, but on his end, he does more of the computer work, you know what I mean? But managing call rail, managing, you name it. I do all that. I do all the management on that side. So it's a little bit lop. And that's the thing. That's where, as I'm reading this book, I'm like, hey, it's a little bit lopsided because I'm doing a lot of it because I do full-time real estate all day, every day, 7 days a week.
That's great, man. This is perfect for you then. So the accountability chart is going to be completely eye-opening for you. So yeah, if you go back to last week, we talked about that. So I want you to draw it out, and we're talking big picture, not, so when your company's running at full board, maybe it's 5 years, 10 years, you're producing really big numbers. What does it look like? Who is on your team? And then don't put names in it, only put positions. So you're going to have your visionary, you're going to have your implementer, you're going to have your marketing, you're going to have your financial, you're going to have all these boxes, right? And then once you have all those, now you go in and put a name in all of them. So you might see, hey man, I'm in 80% of these boxes. I'm doing 80% of the work. We need to either have you do more, or now when you're ready to hire, ready to hire your first virtual assistant, now you can go over all these things and say, okay, here's the tasks. How important is this task? And how easy is it for somebody else to do? And now you can start, okay, this job over here, we want to hire this job first because neither one of us are good at it. Neither one of us like it. And it's kind of an easy job, but it's a mundane, or marketing, neither one of us like cold calling. So maybe our first hire needs to be a cold caller, or, you know what I mean? So he's generating the leads. I'm calling the leads, but that needs to be broken down. So yeah, it'll be really eye-opening for you.
Perfect. Okay. Appreciate that.
Kelly, did you have something you wanted to say? No? Okay. All right. Where were we at? We were on, thou shalt not rely on.
I got a question, Chris.
Yeah.
You said about their VA?
Yes.
Your transaction coordinator?
Yes.
Did you find yours on Upwork, or did you have a certain place you found them? Or
we Jordan and I run a virtual agency, so we train everybody. So yeah, we have everybody in house, and so transaction management is one of those things that's super easy to do. We have different, we can use Trainual or whatnot to train them, and it's fairly simple.
But it's overseas or someone in the States?
Yeah, Jordan and them are in the Philippines. I know a lot of real estate agents have access to transaction management companies as well. There's a lot of people who will do it. If you're a realtor, you want to go within your brokerage typically. Who is this? Jay who?
Jay Strada.
Oh, Strada. Right. What's up, man? Yeah. So yeah, we would just train someone to manage your transactions. Because typically you're going to have your checklists of documents that they need in. They're going to have to make communication with the title company. And then in our situation, our transaction manager also talks to our private lenders. So they work on getting the money, the note, deed of trust, all that to the private lender. And then they get the wire over to title. They make sure everything's there with title. So they do kind of both sides.
Your virtual assistant does all that?
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty good. So yeah, I'm thinking I had some marketing, what do you call it? I put some marketing video trainings or training videos.
Perfect.
So should I not, if I wanted to find a transaction coordinator, VA type, right? You don't mix the two, right? You have one first for the marketing, or can you actually train them on both things? Because it's just pretty much
whatever their capacity is. Eve is the one who works our transaction management stuff, and she's also our investor concierge. So she has multiple jobs. I mean, it's however much they can handle.
Because it's kind of like saying office assistant work. That's what they're doing, right?
Right.
So I could do both. They could do both. Then they could do both.
Yeah, and that's the 80-20 stuff, man. That's the transaction management is part of the 80% of the stuff that you absolutely want and need to give away. So if you guys don't have access to our 80-20 sheet, let me know. I can send that to you, or Jordan can send that to you. And that's where you track your stuff all day, and then you rate it, and that tells you what to give away. And office work is one of those things that are great to give away, so you can focus on your KPIs.
Okay, yeah, I think I have the Scaling Up book. I bought it a while back, actually last year. I read part of it. Do you have are you guys going over like an upgraded version of it or something? Or because I'm like, whatever, when you say the page or where you're going is different.
Sorry, say that one more time. You said Scaling Up or Traction?
Oh, I got the wrong book.
So this is Scaling Up. This is a great book, but this is you need to be like a $20 million company and up to really be able to use.
I'm looking at the wrong book. Sorry.
Okay, yeah. So Traction is.
Yeah, I got that one too.
Yeah, this one's more for small business. This is the one that we're working.
Okay, that's why I'm lost. So for virtual assistants, it's just because I've always thought that it was you single them out to certain types of roles. You don't mix them in. But I mean, it looks like if I were to get some, because I've tried to train some and just some of them haven't worked out, you know. And I think the problem is I don't have like you guys are doing a Zoom call right now.
Mm-hmm.
I take it you do Zoom calls with them, or you do like Skype calls.
Yeah, we do Zoom calls and we do the video training as well.
Okay, I think that's my problem, man. I don't have video conferencing with them. I just do email. I send them the actual like a YouTube video of all the training. And if they get stuck or they miss something, it takes some time to get back with me. So I think I'm gonna start doing that. I'm gonna start doing video conferencing. That's probably my error right there.
Yeah, and then we make it mandatory for them to work our hours. Like, let's see, what is it, 11 here? So Philippine 12. It's 2 in the morning there.
2 a.m.
Yes.
Yeah. So they work our time. It's vital. I mean, we can't. That's just that loses too much time when I say, oh, do this, and then they do it the next day, and then the next day. That just.
Yeah, that's the problem with Philippine virtual assistants. Because I've tried to train different ones for different things, and you can't mix a cold caller or someone that just does calls with office work stuff.
Yeah, that's going to be right person in the right seat. So yeah, definitely. If you go back, all these videos are on YouTube, Cashflow Kris page.
Okay.
Yeah, right person in the right seat. Absolutely. So you don't want someone who's a high I, someone who's like just loves talking to people, and you don't want to put them in a boring office job. It's just you want to make sure it's the right person for the right job. So
okay,
you don't want to give them everything. You want to give them what's within their capability.
Right, and but I mean, I could find all these ones through Upwork, just by finding out what their background is, and then So you do put them through the disc test? Is
We
that the
don't.
best?
We can usually, actually, that's not, I guess we did when we first hired Jordan and then we did do the disc test. It helps if you know how to run it. If you get it, the disc test is a great one. Or any other personality test. You want to know what kind of person they are.
Well, I run it through people who are trying to find out if they're outgoing, if they are what they call social.
Yeah.
And because I was trying to get some cold callers coming, and if I didn't see an I didn't really continue trying to get them on board.
Yeah.
They got to like talking to people. Okay, yeah, that pretty much helps me out there. Appreciate it.
You got it. Kelly, Jordan, will you send Kelly a link to our Trainual affiliate?
Sure.
Yeah, Trainual. My friend Kris Ronzio started it. Trainual.com. All right, so let's wrap it up. Thou shalt fight for the greater good. Put your egos, titles, emotions, and past beliefs aside. Focus on the vision for your organization. You will cut through the candy coating personalities and politics. If you stay focused on the greater good, it will lead you to better and faster decisions. Number 6, thou shalt not try to solve them all. Take issues one at a time in order of priority. What counts is not quantity, but the quality. You're never going to solve them all. The faster you understand that, the better your odds of staying sane. Solve the most important ones first and then move on to the next. Number 7, thou shalt live with it, end it, or change it. This is a great lesson from my dad. In solving an issue, you have 3 options. You can either live with it, end it, or change it. There are no others. With this understanding, you must decide which of the 3s it's going to be. If you can no longer live with the issue, you have 2 options: change it or end it. If you don't have the wherewithal to do those, then agree to live with it and stop complaining. Living with it should, however, be the last resort. Number 8, thou shalt choose short-term pain and suffering. Both long-term and short-term pain require suffering. Remember, 36 hours of pain rule and solve your problems now rather than later. Number 9, thou shalt enter the danger. The issue that you fear the most is the one you most need to discuss and resolve. You got to go at it head on. And number 10, thou shalt take a shot. Taking a shot means that you should propose a solution. Don't wait around for someone else to solve it. If you're wrong, your team will let you know. Sometimes the discussion can drag on because everyone is afraid to voice a solution, even though someone may have it right at the tip of his or her tongue. Often, a team will discuss an issue for far too long. They'll be stuck and no one will be offering solutions. When suddenly the quietest person in the room might speak up and suggest something. There might be a silence, then somebody who says, "That's a good idea," and everyone agrees. Don't be afraid to take a shot. Yours might be the good idea. Right. I think that's it. There we go. All right, everybody. Thanks for showing up today. It was a really good group of people. I love when you guys participate. It makes it so much more fun. So next week we have chapter 7, process, finding your way. That should not take too much. And then chapter 8 is traction, which is implementation, which is my favorite part. So let me just go through it real quick. That one's pretty lengthy. And then putting it all together. Let's see. So let's do chapter 8. Actually, no, we're going to do chapter 7 and 8 next week. And then we will do chapter 9 and 10 the following week, putting it all together. That's our plan. We'll set it into 2 more weeks, and we'll have a nice action plan. Again, guys, go back. If you haven't printed out the VTO, print out the VTO. again, I want to reiterate, I had the hardest time coming up with core values. It took me 3 or 4 years to do this, just because I don't know, it wasn't resonating with me. I had other things, I had our marketing, I had our focus, stuff like that, but just write something down. Just write something down. It can always change. Core focus. Most of you are going to know this. If you don't know it, you need to know it, because if you're too scattered, your business is going to be scattered as well. Your 5 to 10 year target. That's your BHAG, your big, hairy, audacious goal. Go big. You can't be wrong. This is a goal, right? Go big. And then, fill this out. And once you have your big, hairy, audacious goal, now you can break it into a 3-year picture. So like for us, we said we had 500 doors in 5 years. That's that big goal. So that's really easy to break it down and do the math into 3 years. It makes it even easier. Break it down into your 1-year plan. Again, just get it out there. Get it on paper. You can change it. Every 90 days, you're going to be going through and doing this. So if you want to change it in 3 months, change it. It's no big deal. This will get you started though. And then your rocks. And then as you're having your meetings, your issues are going to be coming up. Let's see. We got some new. All right, hold on. We're going to be announcing the winner of our book today. So I just got the link. Let me pull it up. Maya, thanks for reminding me.
Drum rolls.
Okay, here we go. Let's share it. Can everybody see that? And click to spin. Who's gonna win the book? Oh, Stacy. Stacy, we spelled your name wrong, didn't we? All right, Stacy, congratulations, even though we spelled your name wrong. My wife is Stacy with the EY, so when people spell it wrong, she gets bugged. So Stacy, you can get a book of traction, or if you want, you can pick any book out of our collection. So any of these books, these are books that we've done in the past, and books that we will probably redo in the future. Building a Story Brand, Profit First, Never Split the Difference, Compound Effect. We just finished Compound Effect. And our other one is Dynamic Delegation, but this one's kind of hard to find. So you're muted, Stacy.
I'm sorry. I was screaming so loud, no one heard me.
So yeah, just let us know which one you want, and I'll have
Okay.
Maya reach out to you, and she'll get your contact info so we can send that out.
Okay, awesome. Awesome.
So I appreciate everybody joining me. Thanks for joining the book club. If you know anybody else who wants to do this, definitely share it with them. Not quite sure what our next book is going to be yet, but we got 2 weeks to figure it out. So again, thanks for showing up, and I'll see you all next week. 10
Thanks,
a.m.
Chris.
Hey, Chris, real quick, who do I get the vision tracks and organizer sheet from? Because I can't find it in the book where it's supposed to, you could download it.
I can email you a copy, Jay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Maya, will you get Jay's information and send him that info?